I am interviewing my dad, Tyler Barrett. He owns a food truck called Catch a Chef. Hi, Dad. I have 10 questions I want to ask you about life and work as a business owner so people can get an understanding about you.
Okay, what are your questions, Claire?
First one, how old are you and where do you live? What did you do before the food truck?
I am 39 years old. I'll be 40 in December. I live in Culpeper, Virginia. I was born and raised in Madison, Virginia. I started my early career in food at the Bavarian Chef at the age of 14. I'll never forget, my mom took me in there and saw the chef making something called Baden-Badens, and he told me to come back, I believe it was the following day. I started on Saturday and I was washing dishes, and I worked there from 14 to 23, and by the time I left, I had a lot of main responsibilities that the executive chef has there as far as on the line, doing line work. I did a lot of their bacon. I worked at another place called Kites Country Ham, probably for an extent of about 4 years, 2 maybe part-time, while working at Bavarian Chef, and another maybe 2 full-time at Kites Ham.
Second question, Dad, what motivated you to get started with the food truck?
What motivated me to get started with the food truck? Well, money is the biggest motivator for me in life. Second motivator came from a gentleman named Alan Meredith. I rented, my bedroom was, my house was technically a 3-bedroom, a 2-bedroom house or 3-bedroom house, my old house, and I was able to squeeze an extra 2 rooms out of an extra room for a bedroom, and I rented out of the 4 rooms that I could get a bed in, I was able to rent out 3 rooms, and I rented a room to a gentleman named Alan Meredith, who's retired from the military right now. If you're watching, Alan, hello, thank you. And Alan was from Missouri, but he was stationed in California before moving to Virginia to live with me for like 2 years. And he would always tell me about all the food trucks in California and how much money they were making. And, you know, I had some money saved, and my dad could build anything. And so like, Alan sort of planted the seed for the food truck, and I just took the seed, watered it, and it grew. And my dad built my first truck for me.
What kept you motivated to keep going?
Money motivates me to keep going. Goals, to have goals and to be a better person. People say, you're never happy. You're never happy. You always want more. Of course I always want more. This is life. You were not born to be average. It's like Grant Cardone says, be obsessed or be average. And I want to be obsessed so I'm not average. That's a big motivator. Like, I don't want to be average. I want to be more than the average person, and I want to do as much as I can with Catch a Chef to fulfill my dreams in life.
How long have you been doing the food truck?
Me and your mother, we started the food truck in 2010. We were actually parked in a parking lot. It was a customer of ours who would stop by and get pork barbecue sandwiches. Back in 2010, I had this really crappy spot in Orange, and I sat there for 2 days, and I was like down on my luck. Like 2 days in 2010, I think my top day was like $36 with the food truck. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, I was stressing, like, I'm thinking I'm gonna make a couple $100, and my first day was $36. And Dave came by and he offered me this spot, maybe like on the 5th day. No, I didn't sit there, but maybe a week. Once I wasn't making money, I said, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, Dave came and he offered to rent me this spot, and it was no charge at first. And he went through the whole zoning process and got all my permits. And I like Dave, Dave liked me. Dave hooked me up with the spot. And then I sat in Dave's parking lot for about 2 years.
Have you ever been upset or scared about business and felt stuck and didn't know what to do?
There's a lot of times I get upset, I get scared. One of the biggest times I was upset was when I first started. I had about 10 grand saved, maybe a little less. The cost of my trailer that my dad built me, he built everything from scratch. It was like right around $8,500. And once it got built, like, I didn't know where to go, so I just started booking events. And my first event, I didn't have the money to pay for it. It was like 2 grand, so I asked my mom for the money. I ended up paying my mom back. And then I needed money for a second event, and I was like stressing about it. Sort to the point, it was like maybe a couple $100 back then, and I was breaking down. I had a mortgage at a very young age, at the age of 20, a car payment, and a couple $100 for a permit for some event. I didn't have the money. I was like having a panic attack. How am I going to get this money? My dad was like, I'm going to give you the money, but we're not going to make it happen this. And that by my dad saying that like very bluntly, you know how blunt I am with you guys sometimes? Like I don't just buy you anything you want. Blunt means like I'm just straight to the point. There's no farting around about it. I'm going to give you the answer. You may not like that answer, and I didn't like my dad's answer, but he was right. I don't need to be borrowing money from him. I need to make my own way, and I made my own way after that.
What do you do about negative people?
Negative people. I use negative people to fuel my fire. There's a story of a negative gentleman. He went to school with my dad actually, and me and my dad were going to Sheets to get some fuel one day to test the generator for the food truck or something. And the guy made a comment like, "Hey Bob," that's my father's name. "What are you doing today?" And my dad said, "Oh, I'm building my son a food truck." And he said something along the lines of like, "Oh, your son, he'll starve to death selling hot dogs, hamburgers, and French fries." And like that stuck with me to this day. I still remember that story, and it just like it fueled me. Okay, what's this guy know that I don't know? Like this guy, he doesn't know anything because I got grit. This guy don't have grit. I made the food truck work what it is today, and like I used his negative words to fuel my fire. If that makes sense.
What do you do for fun, hobbies, or spare time?
Fun hobby and spare time. I love doing stuff with you guys. One of my favorite things to do is exercise. I love exercising. There was a couple years I took kind of a hiatus from exercising, and I'm sort of back into it pretty hardcore now. I love lifting weights. I started jiu-jitsu about 2 years ago. I go to this place called Ra. It's down here in Culpeper. I got my blue belt like Christmas of 2024, the week before we went on vacation. And that's one thing I wish I'd have started like when I was at your age, because I'd have a black belt by now. But now I'd be like 50 with a black belt.
What's most important to you in your life?
God's most important, family, and like a legacy, to leave a legacy behind. I love you guys. I had a great life as a child. Could have been greater, could have been worse, but it was a good life. My parents provided for me, gave me a roof over my head, all the essentials that I need. But there's some things in life, like I look back that I know you had as a child, that I didn't have as a child. So I like giving you those things. It's like me living my childhood through you, sort of kind of thing. I like to always give you guys a little more than I had. If that makes sense.
What's your favorite thing to do with your family?
Favorite thing to do with my family? Well, I love going ice cream with you and the rest of the kiddos. My favorite thing to do with you guys is going on vacation, honestly. Just loading the bags up. We started cruising, I guess last year was our first time going on a cruise, last September. We did a cruise. We did another cruise since then. Something about when you have those bags packed and you load the car down, you head to the airport or heading wherever, or like we used to have an RV. That was one of my favorite things, like just getting in the truck with a big rig behind you and just heading down the open highway to Southwest Florida and knowing you're going to spend 14 days on the water and just enjoying life. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I thought it was like last December when we went on a cruise instead of...
So last December was our second cruise. We went Christmas week into New Year's, and our first cruise was last September.
What goals do you have in life?
What goals do I have in life? I have a lot of different goals. I love to give back. As some of my Catch the Chef fan base knows, when I can give back, I love to help people in need. Like there's been several instances where there was floods, and I like to just go and give water, give bottled water. Like one time, it was super exciting for me. There was this barber shop down in Charlottesville, and they were when they were doing the Flint, Michigan thing, where the water was contaminated. You were probably too young, and they had this thing on their page, and they were trying to raise some funds and get some water to send to Flint so the people in Flint could have some water. So I went to Sam's Club, and I had at the time I was running a hot dog cart and a food truck, and I went by there after work with the hot dog cart, and I loaded that sucker up with water so high and strapped it over, and I had my whole truck. My truck was going down the road like this. It was like the thing was about to break down. There was a couple other instances. I sent some water to Texas. My favorite one I ever did water for was I had a guy I knew a guy that had a fifth wheel trailer. I went to Sam's and I bought a whole fifth wheel full of trailer. When I say fifth wheel, this dude had like a 40 or 50 foot trailer, and we loaded that sucker up with 2 pallets deep. It had to be at least 20 pallets of water. And then I took my grill. I took a little Blackstone griddle, and me and a guy named Billy Nabe and another lady, I can't remember her name, and then a friend of mine, Chad, and his wife, they joined me, and we went to West Virginia. I think it was Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. It was in Sulphur Springs. It was another one, but I can't remember the little town. But anyway, it was devastated there. We just hung out and we cooked hot dogs and hamburgers all day, and we unloaded the trailer full of water. And it's one of my good memories of Catch a Chef. Like, when you can give back and you can help others, you should always try to help others. So that's always a goal in mind. I love to help other people.
That's all.
That's all? Okay.